Welcome to this weekly beat with me, Matoma, and today's guest is no other than Sofiloud. She's had international success, massive songs with over 200 million streams, had collaborations with Alan Walker. She's toured the world. She's currently working as a songwriter, artist, worked with people like Tate McRae, Rehab, Sam Felt. So even though she's young, she's been in the industry for a very long time. I'm just curious to hear about her songwriting experiences, working with big names in the industry, and also just hearing how she connects with her roots from up north. She's from a very small town in northern part of Norway, and just learn about her and then make a song, of course. Hi. Hello.
Hello, hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Aww.
First of all, I have to say, you look amazing.
Oh, thank you very much.
And green is your favorite color?
Actually, no. I never wear green, actually. But then I found this really nice.
Yeah, this is Bart Simpson. Hello, putting his ass up in there.
Showing his ass, yeah. And then I had this one.
Is this your personality?
Yeah, I feel like, this is my personality, actually.
Yeah. I was looking, when you were getting mic'd up, I was looking over there and I was like, your personality is fun, exploring, you wanna see the world. Yeah,
that's true. That is very true, yeah.
I don't think we ever met before.
No, I don't think so either. No.
I've always wanted to work with you, and every time we almost managed to set up a session, my time has either like I've gotten a gig or a charity or something.
Yeah, no, but same.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy we finally.
Yeah, I'm super happy, and the way of this, getting to know you by I'm so excited.
I love this concept.
Yeah.
This is so much fun. When did you decide you wanted to do this?
In a dream.
In a dream. I love that.
It just popped up. So I was after like Hver gang vi møtes and The Voice, and I really like to show my personality and to get to know other people and to speak and to but sometimes when it's on television it can be a bit manufactured and you know, like you say yes to one thing because you think that it's like this format, and then when you pop by and you're a part of it, you understand, it's very filtered. Yeah. So with Hver gang vi møtes, I was kind of expecting that, but also in a way a little shocked how much of the content that just disappeared. Yeah. And that just made me think, like, man, someday I want to make my own stuff. That are not controlled or filtered by other people.
That's really cool.
Yeah, because then I can tell my story, and I can tell the songwriters and the artists I work with also their story in a way that maybe they are more comfortable with. Yeah,
it's nice to be in control of your own story.
Yes. Yeah. It is really nice. And after Hver gang vi møtes, that's one thing I really were struggling with. Just like feeling that when I finally let out my story, it wasn't on my permission.
On your permission.
Yeah. It was on somebody else's, on the basis of entertainment. And of course I understand that with such a big platform and channel as TV2, but the way they pitched it to us was like, you have full control, this, that. I have no idea where I'm driving.
No, same though. To be fair, I've never drove here, so...
No, me neither.
Let me know if you want a monster, I have to...
Ooh! You're a monster girl!
Can you open this here? Asking you while driving. It's my nails, I can't open it with any...
Your artistic journey has been very fascinating for me, because looking throughout your career, you've always managed to adapt yourself into different styles, but for me, I always hear your distinct sound.
Oh, that's very nice.
You have a very like it's hard to tell, like in English, but I'm gonna try and explain. You have a very international way of thinking with your lyrics and with your songwriting, but then you manage to keep the trueness of your soul through your home place in the music you make.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because I feel like that's like the hardest thing is the
identity.
Yes, especially when because I'm also a songwriter, you know, and that's what I like. I try to like balance it 50-50.
Even in the songs you write for others, it's like when I listen to them, you could hear you have been a part of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that actually makes me so happy because I feel like that's one of the like biggest or like hardest things is the finding like the thing that you connect with that feels like it feels true to you, you know what I mean? But then what if a lot of things feels true to you, you know? And then what if you feel like a lot of things suits not even like not only your voice, but like there's a bunch of different like not genres, but like ways you can take it, like with productions and stuff. And then maybe you're in like a different era in your life and you want to do something completely else, and then like a month later you want to do something completely else again, and then you're super confused, and then people are confused, and then so I feel like that's been like the biggest struggle is just like trying to settle for one thing that feels super me. And
so basically it's the impulsiveness in you that takes
I think so.
takes control, and then clarity gets less prioritized.
Yeah, we're always stressing and putting like so much pressure on ourselves, and then it feels like everything has to happen like right now in the moment, and we're always striving for the future.
Yeah.
Like we're never living in the moment and like actually enjoying it and taking it all in, and like I don't want to be striving for something I haven't found yet.
Yeah.
I would rather look back and be like, oh, look at all the amazing stuff I've accomplished so far, and then be excited about the future, but not like
stressed about it.
No, not like stressed about it, because you know good things will come for those who work hard, and I just feel like it's so sad that I haven't been able to always like just enjoy it and like appreciate it, because it is actually insane that we're able to do this for a living, and that you know I get to wake up every day and go to the studio and just make a bunch of different songs with amazing people. I get to travel the world, and like it's insane. Like there's so few people that actually get the opportunity to do this. I really, really like it.
Yeah.
It's very artsy. And I love the booth. It's so rare you have a booth now. Everything is just happening in the room, which is totally cool too. But I love an old-fashioned booth. It's
Me
really
too.
nice. Yeah.
That's why I when I kind of saw the apartment, because this is an apartment building, so I've soundproofed it, and when I soundproofed it, I kind of was like, oh, should I just have people singing in the room, or should I have? And I really wanted the old-fashioned vocal booth, but not like you know, some studios they have this vocal booth and you go in them and they are very dark and kind of like you almost get like
a little claustrophobic. Yeah.
So since we have the view of the city, I wanted people to see the city. So there's a window.
It was very nice. Yeah. It's really, really cool.
About the studio, I want to talk about you.
Yeah.
And your story is very fascinating to me, because in such a short time, you establish yourself in the industry as one of Norway's biggest songwriters. And for me, that is very fascinating. Talk me through like your whole like journey of music and where it all started. You said that you're from a small town up in Lofoten.
Yeah, it started in Lofoten, and there's not that much of a music scene there. Yeah. We only have like a couple of other artists, like Sondre Justad or...
Have you ever worked with them?
I haven't worked with him, but I love his work. He's amazing.
Yeah.
And then, I had to move a little bit further south. So I started in Trondheim.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and then I just started reaching out when Facebook was still a thing. I started reaching out in like music groups in Trondheim. And
did you study in Trondheim, or did you just go there for work? Or?
No, I worked at a clothing store named Urban.
Oh,
for a couple years.
Like when I was a student in Trondheim, I loved going. Maybe you sold me some pieces.
Might have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, might have done that. I was a really good seller though.
Yeah.
I was always the seller of the month, and I really enjoyed it. But it was just like in between thing I always knew, and I actually never studied anything. I was just waiting for an opportunity to if I was ever going to study, it was going to be something that had to do with music.
Yeah.
So I lived in Trondheim for like 2-3 years. Just went to the studio with people there and made music. And I put out like a couple songs. I never went to any events or anything like that because I was too young. I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
How old were you then?
I was 19.
19.
Like 18, 19.
So right after high school.
Yeah.
And what did you in high school? Did you go in like allmennfag or?
No,
like mandatory school,
I did something weird. I don't even remember what it was. It was like something health related. I only did it because they had less math.
Yeah.
So that was the main reason. Like I so did not care about school. I like barely showed up. I've always had troubles with school and just like paying attention and stuff like
Finding maybe your thoughts and your ideas and your were on other things.
Yeah, never had any interest in it whatsoever, and I always had a really, really hard time making friends in school. So it felt really like lonely, and I don't think I was a really, really bad version of myself when I went to school, and I don't know why, but I just think that it felt so I felt so disconnected for some reason. I just never found like my right click, and then we moved a lot when I was growing up. I think I've gone to like 10, 11 different schools.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I think I just got really tired of like always getting to know new people and trying to like settle and fit in and stuff like that. So at one point you just like don't care anymore, I think. You're just like, it's almost like it feels like it's not forever anyways. So you're never settling, kind of.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course.
Since you moved a lot, your parents probably worked in some work that had, was it in the military or?
No, my parents split up when I was really young, and my dad lived in Bodø, and then my mom, she just, she was trying to figure out love. Yeah. And that's why we moved a lot, because her boyfriends were in different towns, and then we just moved wherever they lived, and then we tried different cities, and then her work didn't do really well there because she has her own business as a hairdresser, and so after a while, like there was one of the boyfriends I didn't get along with, and I moved back to Lofoten again to live with my grandparents, and then she moved back to Lofoten again, and then started over, and then now she's in Lofoten and she's been there for years. But it was just the whole era there for like 10, 11 years where we were in Inderøy, and then we were in Hitra, and then we were in Sandefjord, and then I also was in Bodø with my dad, and then it was Lofoten. Wow. So there was a lot of
stress.
Yeah, a lot of moving and different schools and people and stuff. So,
But I have to say, wow, first of all, sitting here just taking this in. Secondly, the fact that you are the person you are today is a reflection of that you stood in every decision in that journey.
I think so too, actually.
Imagine if you didn't have your inner voice and didn't have your inner compass that guided you through that experience. You would probably not be doing music.
That's true. Yeah. That's very true. And I think also music has been like a huge comfort along the way, actually.
Yeah, and that's the compass you have.
Yeah, it's been a good way to like release. And that's always been like the safety hub for me as well.
Yeah.
And
so whenever you felt like insecure in the environment you've been, music has always helped you.
It has. It sounds so cliche, but it really has. It has, because that's the. I remember.
No, it makes perfect sense of the person you are.
It does. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's just. Yeah, I've just been alone with the music, and then not even making it, but just like listening to it and connecting with different artists and.
Oh, we're gonna make some really powerful music today.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think so. That would be nice. But yeah, and then when I moved to Trondheim, I was just like waiting for a sign, basically. And I remember my then boyfriend, who it was such a not a good relationship at all. He would be so like, he loved singers, but he was so like doubtful, and a lot of my friends were too. It was always don't you think it's important to have like an education just in case it doesn't go anywhere, which is like, it makes sense. It's a sensible way of thinking. But I think you really have to be a little delusional if you want to like actually make something and do something good in the industry and make a living out of it. I think you have to be a little bit delusional, and I think it's the delusional thing that actually gives you the drive to keep going. That's when a lot of the people quit, I think, is when you're like sensible, when you're like realistic, and you're like, okay, well, is this actually that clever? No, probably not. So maybe we should just do something else. Maybe we should go and get a job. Maybe we should go and get an education. You can't do both. You really can't. You have to be a little delulu, honestly. So I remember my boyfriend, he was like, yeah, I think an education is good. And I was like, no, I can just feel there's an education about music coming my direction. Just wait. And then Limpy came up. Oh. It came up on like ads on Instagram.
So you went to Limpy?
Yeah, I went to Limpy.
How many years?
Just 1 year. It's
only
only 9
only
months.
1 year?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I thought it was like a 3-year program.
No. It's 9 months, and it's very expensive.
Yeah.
That was the first year they launched the school. So it was.
So when you apply to the school, do you go through like the regular like the
Process
scholarship process of schooling, or do you have to finance everything yourself?
You can get support from Lånekassen.
Yeah.
You get you can max it.
Yeah.
And then you have to pay for the rest. Yeah. So I think for 9 months with like living costs and everything, because you can't work on the side, you're literally in the studio 24/7. So I had to take up an extra loan on the side. So it was like $30,000 for 9 months ish.
Wow.
It was very expensive.
That's expensive here in Norway.
Super expensive. But if you look at it,
but you were open-minded, you went there with a vision of like learning, you know, you were excited,
This was the make it or break it thing for me. I was like, this is what's going to change my life.
Yeah.
And
had you manifest that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm such a manifester.
Yeah.
I am.
Tell me how your process is when you do that.
Well, I manifest in the way where it's just like I decide that this is how it's going to be. So I'm not sitting and like writing anything down or anything like that. I'm just like, I'm manifesting in a way where my actions is going to have a positive outcome. It doesn't matter if it like the actions are bad. I just know that, for example, I have one motto where it's like you have to spend money to make money. Because I love spending money on like fashion and stuff that I love, which is just like stupid because sometimes you don't have enough money, especially like growing up and stuff like that. And then I would just always say, well, money comes and goes and you have to spend money to make money. And it's always worked out for me. Yeah. It's always worked out, and I just keep manifesting it's going to work out. It doesn't matter. And it's the same with the music stuff. I just decided, and I always knew it's going to work out because I want it to work out.
What did I say when we met in the car?
What was that?
That you were an explorer?
Yeah. I'm an explorer. Dora the Explorer. No, so that's just, I don't write anything down. I'm just stubborn, and when I...
But do you know why you're stubborn?
Why?
Because through the environment of your childhood, that you had to move in different places that put you in very uncomfortable situations.
Yeah.
And those situations made you... People can then decide, am I a victim of what's happening, or do I want to figure this out? That's a survival instinct you have. Either I can just accept this and then slowly break myself down, or I'm not gonna accept this, but I'm a part of it. But I'm gonna do my way. And for me, it sounds like you, since you were a very young person, have made those very important decisions based on an intuition, based on something that you feel inside you.
Yeah.
And that is the strongest connection to your soul.
I think
and that's why I said earlier, you can hear that in your music, because you have a very international sound over you. You can go in the room, adapt, you can adjust, but you don't let it affect your soul. You know, because you trust yourself, you trust the boundaries within yourself, because in every situation through life, you've always had to feel.
That's very true.
Yeah.
And I think it's as simple as manifestation is the same thing as saying, well, things happen for a reason. I think it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's if it's supposed to happen, it's going to happen. And I think that if you believe in that, then you're manifesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically. So it's
and manifesting has become such a powerful, like almost like a media word. I feel, because it's just like it's a word that you use to describe something that you truly want.
Sometimes it's just nice to wonder, and it doesn't have to mean anything. It doesn't mean you have to be like super, like there's nothing more to it. It's just thoughts, you know. And it doesn't even have to be actions.
Yeah.
But I think it's nice and it's healthy to let your thoughts wander.
Yeah.
And then you can decide what about it is going to be goals and what is going to be just dreams, you know. Which is, the thoughts are so powerful, you know.
And you know, dreams can also be a reality.
Yeah, it's up to you, you know.
Yeah, it's up to you.
Yeah.
So after Limpy, what happened then?
After Limpy, I was out of money, completely out of money. I actually didn't know what to do. But then this is like...
so now you had spent it, now it had to come.
Yeah. And in real life, this only happens in the movies, but this just felt like the universe helping me out. But my dad, unfortunately, passed away right before we ended school in 2019 in Limpy. And he passed away in a motorcycle accident. And so I got, what do you call it? Like...
insurance?
Yeah.
Life insurance?
I got life insurance. And so right when we finished school, I got enough money. And I looked at it as my father giving me an opportunity to pursue the dreams I had, basically. And
wow.
Yeah, it was just obviously horrible, but also it felt like such a gift too, because if that hadn't happened, then I think I would have had to spend at least like 2-3 years just like paying down the debts, and then also saving for traveling or moving again or whatever. So it really felt like sort of like a huge gift as well. And it actually helped me with the grieving process as well, because I just felt like he was watching over me and like helping me, trying to accomplish my dreams. So because of that, he actually made it possible for me to go. I traveled to LA for the first time with a couple of friends from Limpy, and we just started hustling there, going to like small shows and like reaching out to people and doing small sessions here and there, and just going to networking and stuff like that.
Before we jump into all of that, I just want to ask you one question. When that happened, did you have time to grieve?
What is time to grieve? Like, because I feel like I did have time to grieve in the moments where I felt like I needed time to grieve, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I didn't set aside time for it because I feel like...
No, that's not how grief works.
No, I went through the process, I feel like. I've always been very open. I talk about all my problems like with a bunch of people, and I feel like the whole talking thing has been very helpful, and just...
Did you have like before the passing, did you have like a good relationship with your dad, or was it complicated, or was it...
It was good in the end, you know. He was a troubled soul. He was a tattoo artist when I grew up, and he was always short on money. He had like a little drug thing going on the side, and like very... he had a troubled past, I would say. But then, like later on, when he was older, he got his shit together and he got an education, and then he had like a grown-up job and helped people and stuff like that. And then that's when I felt like we really connected. But I've always been such a daddy's girl. Like I always like fully supported him, and like all his like dumb choices and stuff like that. And I always looked up to him and wanted to be like him. And so I would just say that I've been with him through all the highs and lows, and I was really proud of him in the end. And it was also, I think that was the hardest part, was that he was actually just starting to like figure out life, and I think enjoying it. So that kind of sucked. Like I feel like he had so much fun stuff coming up. Just because...
But you know, he's experiencing that through you.
Yeah,
so.
I've decided to look at it like that, at least. So,
but you have to look at it like that, because something that are that reckless, so out of context, it just happens, and it doesn't make any sense at all. And for you then to start trying to make sense, that doesn't work. So what you did in the situation, I would say, I hope that one day that you can look back and just give yourself a hug and say, wow, like I did everything in my utterly best ability to manage that situation, to not put myself in a horrible situation, and you manifested it into a music world, and it's just beautiful to hear that something that tragical can end up being something, as you say, beautiful. And now his soul is in all of these songs.
I agree.
Yeah.
And that's basically, I think, my grieving process is just songwriting and like being in the studio and getting an outlet for like all the emotions, and being able to talk about so much stuff with amazing people almost every day.
How do you tackle the difference of making songs for yourself and making songs for others? Like as a songwriter, like if you go in the studio with the producer and you say like, oh, today we're gonna make a song to pitch to this artist, like how do you...
I find it way simpler to write for pitch, just because for some reason it feels like you haven't boxed yourself in so much. There's like not, you could just choose a direction. Like if I feel like doing this today, okay, well then we'll try to do that, you know? And when it's for your own project, it feels more like, well, we only have this type of direction. And it's something about the pressure too, which sometimes I feel like it's hard to handle, because...
now it's suddenly your music.
Yeah, and no one said it out loud. Like no one said, well, the pressure's on, you better deliver, but you feel like it, you know? And
did you feel that pressure when you went from Limpy to like, and taking those steps into the LA boundaries? And
the weirdest part about it, which also makes sense, is that when you're so new and you've spent fewer hours doing this, it just feels like you're on top of the world in the beginning. And then the more hours you spend doing it, the more you feel like you suck. So it was the total opposite. I went there and I felt like I was ready to conquer the world. Yeah. And I felt like it was right in front of me, kind of. And then the more hours you spend on it, and then you maybe pick up like certain parts about it, and you listen back, and you're like, okay, this needs to improve, and like especially like the lyrics and like melody, language, everything. You know, it always evolves, and the better people you work with, the more inspired you get, and then the more you learn, and then you start to like realize that you have so much to learn, and the road is pretty long. And
lonely sometimes,
and also lonely sometimes, definitely. So I just feel like it's been the opposite. The more I do it, the more I'm definitely confident. Like I feel like I am really good at what I'm doing, but I always feel like there's room for improvements, which I think is a good thing, you know, because if you don't have that, then it all just kind of like stops, I guess. And then
I try to look at it as you're never fully learned. So there's always stuff you can learn.
Yeah.
But with learning, you also have to be kind.
Yeah.
Because this is just my experience from the music industry. When I also went to LA, I felt that type of like unnecessarily pressure from other people and their demand on managing and controlling a product that they can't control because it's something that comes from your soul. And the more pressure and the more control they wanted, the less creative I was. I don't know if you felt it.
Oh, I definitely feel the same way. Yeah. And I think you've experienced way more of it than I have, but...
No. This is an individual feeling, so...
But I definitely know what you're saying, and I agree, because I feel like I was so, like, creatively... I was in a really good space before I signed with a record label. Yeah. And then the moment I signed with the record label, it was so weird sitting in a room with, like, 12 people... that have different opinions about basically everything about you.
Yeah.
And
they don't know you.
No, and they're looking at you like, you know I am the product, but I don't want to feel like a product, you know, because at the end of the day, you are a human being with, you know, a million emotions, and you know, every day is just not the same. And it just felt weird because for me, it feels like it's so weird if I would go into my mom's hair salon and I'd be like, why do you cut people's hair like this? Yeah. Wouldn't it be way better if you do it like this? Yeah. Have you looked at her videos, the way she cuts hair? You should try doing it like that. Why would I do that? It's just so weird. You don't tell anyone else unless you're someone's boss and they've done like a shitty ass job or like treated someone at the office horrible, of course. But it just feels so weird when it's something creative and it's so fluid. And you can't see it, you can only hear it and feel it. And then someone's going to tell you how to do it. And then that just didn't sit right with me, and especially with the social media thing on top of it. It all just felt so not me, sort of.
Yeah. And you are... I was also telling you this earlier, that when I broke as an artist in the music industry, social media wasn't the reason why artists broke. It was because we either had music on SoundCloud or on any form of like platform that wasn't TikTok or Instagram, where you actually have to socially interact with the person that you're trying to convince listening to your music. So I think today the stimulative effect that you have is so much more aggressive than it was before, because now it's like you have all these elements beside of the music that makes you connect. So it's not really the music that you're trying to connect to, it's more the video or so it's a feeling. So before, that feeling came of your illusion, but now people have stopped illustrating that feeling. Now they need to see it.
And it's also just a numbers game and stuff. Like, I remember I was just so excited when I first signed, obviously, and I just had so many ideas. I was like, I felt super creative and like motivated. And then...
How old were you when you signed? Is this like a year after Olympia or same year?
No, this was like 2 years ago.
Oh wow!
And it
so
just
recently.
and it just did not work out at all because.
Man, I'm sorry to hear.
It's totally fine.
Yeah,
totally fine. I just feel like everything happens for a reason.
I was about to say I'm sorry to hear, but from your personality, it seems to be fine.
It's totally fine. You romanticize it a lot before you sign with the label.
Yeah.
And then you have all these expectations.
Yeah.
And then you have, like you've signed, there's the champagne, there's the, oh my God, everyone loves you, let's take a picture and post it. And then you feel so special for like an hour. And then you have the meetings and you just feel like one of extremely many, if you know what I mean. It's not, it doesn't feel personal.
Yeah.
And it's, as you said, like it doesn't feel like they're talking to you as a person. It feels like they're talking to you as like just an object. And I like a lot of the people I worked with. I just feel like a lot of the stuff is actually out of their hand because no one really knows or understands how the industry works right now because it's all moving so fast and it's changing so rapidly. So everyone is just a bunch of sheeps right now. I feel like we're all just like following each other around and like no one really knows what the hell we're doing. I feel like the people that knows the most are the artists and the writers, and I feel like the people around are just trying to adapt as good as they can. And the things with labels right now, I just feel like it's not the same as it used to be because, well, earlier on there was less artists, so it was just less people signed, more focus on each and every one, and then they had more money to spend on each and every one. And it was way simpler. It was just put up an ad somewhere, and then you go tour, and then we put money in the touring stuff, and then we do this. Now it's so many different platforms. The competition is insane. It's never been this many people making music, which is it also means like what's the label's job compared to then. I don't think they have figured it out because. When I signed 2 years ago, they didn't even have like a social media. Well, they had a social media person, but this person wasn't involved in like how TikTok algorithm works. Wasn't really up to date on any of the stuff. I feel like you really, really have to
be up to date.
Yeah, you know, to even be able to make it work. And they just mass sign a bunch of young, uneducated people that has no idea what they're putting themselves into. It's horrible contracts. And then they put money on like the wrong things, in my opinion. It's like, well, we're just going to reach out to like 10 to 12 influencers and then make them post a song. They don't even know the lyrics. You can just tell it's also...
they're doing it for the money.
And everyone is, you know, it's a money game. It's so weird. So it just felt super unnatural. And I obviously wanted to focus on the music, and I just felt like the focus, I had to put it places I didn't want it to be, basically, which was like, it's weird though, because I really enjoyed doing social media before I signed, because I could just decide whatever I wanted to post.
Because for me, it was different because social media I didn't grow up with, or I didn't have it in my life until I needed it. So I have it's only the last couple of years I've started to slowly be comfortable with social media. But then I understood, oh, I can do this on my premises. And that's why I do this podcast, because now I can, I love talking with people. I hate being on camera. So now I can have a conversation and you can get social content from it.
But that's what I mean. Like, you found your own thing that you're very comfortable with, and it feels like this is authentic to you. It's your own ideas and your own boss, you know.
You have that boundary of taking one step back. I've never had that.
No, okay.
So for me, I kind of got locked into this world for 7-8 years, where it was like, I can, this is too good to be true. I know that this is not doing me good, but it's very comfortable and it's very nice and it's but it's like kind of hurting me inside. But I just let go with it. Looking back, I now know that I could have made a decision based on what I felt.
But it is really hard though, when you're in it, you know. And
but that is a reflection I have without remorse, because I'm very because life happens, and that's why I'm so happy to meet you and to talk about these things, because we haven't talked about this on the podcast yet, about like the sense of just things that you can't control, let go, and things that you can manifest. And you are a perfect example of that.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So for example, can you just take me through the whole like songwriting process for you? Does it start when you wake up in the morning, when you brew your coffee? Does it start in the studio? Do you prepare yourself?
I do as little of it as possible before I go to the studio, usually.
Yeah.
I really enjoy not listening to a lot of music before the sessions. I actually barely listen to music on the outside, just because I feel like it kind of helps my creative space, I guess, when I'm in the studio. And then, but I have it in here though. Yeah. So it kind of, it helps opening up in my head basically. So, and I think it's like not that it's like, I'm not saying I'm diagnosed, but I feel like this is an ADHD thing where it's like I have a million song ideas all the time on repeat, you know. So if I'm listening to something on the side, it would kind of like disturb the whole process going on. So, for example, I have nights where I barely sleep because I'm like laying like a little child in bed, like with my feet like this, and I can't like lay still, and I have a million song ideas. And then I'm waking up my boyfriend because I'm like on my phone like la-di-da-di-da in the middle of the night like a psycho. And then sometimes I even go out on the porch in the freezing cold in the middle of winter, just like singing like this on the phone in my sleep basically. And then actually some ideas I have used in the studio, I bring it to the studio. Concepts too. I feel like you have to be outside and like explore stuff to get great concepts, and you have to have amazing conversations with people and like meet new people and like be invested in different conversations to get like these super exciting concepts. But it's also really nice to just like watch a lot of movies and series and like be invested in like people's lives there and like grab a bunch of words and lines from everywhere. So I do that, and then I have like a list on my phone, and if we need it, I always just come up with a couple of ideas I've written down. But usually, you know, it all works out when we're in the room and someone usually...
Do you distance your ideas to ideas that you pitch, or is everything in the same realm?
Everything is in the same realm.
And then you and your publishers decide what you want to have for your project and what you can pitch, or...
Some songs I feel really strongly about. Yeah. Usually we have decided before the session if the session is going to be for my project or if it's for pitch. Yeah. But if the song doesn't fit my project, we'll just pitch it anyways.
So all the international songs you've written that we heard, have they been pitched as that, or have you made them for yourself and then they've been pitched?
No, actually a lot of the songs I've placed with other artists were originally written for my project. Yeah. And then it just didn't really work out. Yeah. And then they were planned for my project, but then someone pitched it anyways, and then someone really big wanted it, and I obviously think that's really cool. Yeah. So I would rather they have it, honestly. So.
And now looking back at that, no remorse, nothing, just...
No, because everything feels 50-50 to me. Like I don't have, I don't want to pursue my artist career more than my songwriting career, because I feel like it goes hand in hand, and I feel like if I feel more happy in the studio writing songs and like talking with people and just like the whole creative process I enjoy way more, and it feels way more like a safe space than all the other stuff that comes with being an artist. So that's
so you like both.
I love both.
I can relate to that because there's things I love with touring and being an artist and being on the road, but there's two things I hate the most. It's like traveling.
I feel you.
Like I get really tired by like going on different airplanes and going like on to different continents and just like this routine of flying. And in the DJ world, that's life. And the first year as a DJ, I had over 300 travel days.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. And then I was making music on the side. I was trying to reinvent myself in the music style, touring 300 days a year.
That's insane. Can you see how that's like that just sounds impossible?
And it's actually just recently I reflected on how much I actually hate nightclubs.
Yeah.
I really hate them. Like I can't stand them. It's like, and this is the first time I actually say this on camera. Like,
I love this for you.
Yeah, it's like, and I said this to my friends because we were on a boys trip up in the mountains skiing, and we were having such a lovely time, and it just like really got clear to me how much I hate nightclubs. And I've always hated them. It's nothing like I've never been drawn into them, but it's something that I've had to do to play festivals, to meet people, to interact. So it's something that I really like, just like, oh man, this was tough. It's something that I really just like stood up with day in, day night. Just like, and the feeling it made inside of me, just like seeing all these like fake personalities just where they don't have any personality, they don't have any identity at all. It's like like if you ask them a simple question, who are you? They're gonna babble about like something they've been raised up to believe in. And it's like, but when you actually say like, yeah, but who are you? They don't know. No. Because it's their money and their environment and their culture that have defined them. It's not who they are inside. And for me, when I'm in that environment all the time, and then you go into like hotel rooms, and you're a very sensitive person, human being, and that's what made the music, you know, you connecting to your feelings, and then suddenly somebody is taking advantage of that and putting you in and saying like, oh, but you're making so much money and you're famous and this and that, and they kind of define you as a person, and they put so much fear in you because it's, oh man.
Dude, I really, really get where you're coming from. Like, I totally understand. Yeah. And I feel like I would never be able to understand how this feels for you if I hadn't just been on the tour with Alan for a year straight. Yeah. And like, it gives me a stomach ache on your behalf just hearing you talk about it, because it actually can be so horrible. Yeah. It can be so lonely, and it really messes with like your head. Yeah.
And your creativity, your ability to just breathe, basically, because you find yourself in like this very uncomfortable, awkward situations all the time where you can't be yourself. Yeah. Where you have to put on a image or put on like a stamina that right now I can't deal with, but you have to, because you're in this environment where you have to be this, you have to be that, you have to go to this meeting. And it's just like, and when you do that day in and day out, and you get very little sleep, you go into airports.
Airports are like my worst enemy. I swear, my one goal for this year was to not travel almost anything and just stay home, because just the thought of being inside of an airport, like it makes me feel mentally
ill.
Yeah, it really does. And obviously, I feel like people from the outside, like obviously it's your choice if you want to go tour or whatever. But I feel like sometimes it's misunderstood why we're doing this or like why you want to do this. And I feel like it's such a small part of the whole picture, you know, because there's so many things you have to do to get to that one point where you actually really enjoy it and where you feel like, well, this is exactly how it's supposed to feel. But like you have to go through all the other steps to get to exactly that point where you're actually having a great time. And I feel like people don't really see that or maybe have a hard time understanding that unless they have done the exact same thing for years. And like I've only done it for such a short amount of time, but I totally, completely understand where you're coming from, and just I can't even imagine how it must feel for you having done that for so many years. You must feel exhausted. Like that must feel so exhausting, and it's like you're a superhuman for doing that. And that's what I've been saying about DJs and artists that tour all year round. That's a superpower.
I think if you're doing everything yourself, it can be a superpower. But what I see is to maintain a level on the top, it's impossible. Then you need to have minions that helps you and that like produces, and because it ends up being a machinery. But being on the Allen tour like for a year, how was that, like adapting to a professional team?
Well, they have been really amazing. Allen has a great team. They are really good at their job, and they were really good at making me feel like comfortable and welcome. It's busy days for them, and not everything goes to plan all the time, but they were really good making sure I felt well taken care of and stuff like that. And
how many countries did you go to?
No idea. We went to, well, we did the Asia tour, Southeast Asia, and then we went to
did you also go to the US?
No, no.
No, okay.
But I really enjoyed my time, and it was really, I learned a lot. I really did, and it was maybe a little scary in the beginning, just because everything was super new. I had never toured before in my life, and especially not in front of so many people. You know, we only played in arenas, so it was basically from 0 to 100 in one day, and it was kind of cool to just be thrown into it. You didn't really have time to think about anything, and it's made me, I feel like I've become way better at like performing and handling really stressful situations, and you know, handling complications and stuff like that. You know, something always happens, and you just learn to deal with it and adjust as good as you can. So it was a really good experience.
All the places you went to, which ones fascinated you the most?
I was very fascinated with Tokyo because of what do you say, like my culture thing there was maybe the fashion. I was very intrigued in like their way of
dressing.
Yeah, basically, and they're so expressive. And it was really freeing, kind of, because the streets are just so colorful with a bunch of different people, and they just don't care about anyone thinking anything about them. They just really fully express themselves. And that was really inspiring. And also the food was really, really good in Japan.
Did you take the train?
I did take the train once. It was really nice.
You know, Japan is on my bucket list.
Just in general, or the train?
No, just in general.
Yeah, it feels like they're 10 steps ahead in a lot of places, which is really, really cool.
Yeah. So before we tie up the pieces today, super, super inspiring talking to you. I'm so glad that you said yes to this. I know for a fact that we're gonna take every inch of inspiration that you've let out today of your story and put into a song. I kind of, from our conversation, picked up some inspiration on the idea of having a life angel.
Yeah.
That guides you through life.
That's really nice.
Yeah, and it could be your dad.
That's really cool. You're seeing it visually. That's cool. That's always a good sign.
Yeah, no, like like everything that you told today, I've seen visually, and it's the first time here in the podcast.
That's great.
Yeah, it's great.
That's really, really good.
I know that the song is gonna be.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Not even think, I know.
We know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And now we're gonna share a little from our soul and pour into the word.
Like, yeah.
The song you're hearing is Indigo. And me and Sofiloud just made it in the studio, and it turned out so powerful and strong with the magic of a banger. Pre-save this, because this monster is coming out on Friday. And the best thing, we're gonna do it all over again next week. Catch you later, and remember to spread that love.
I know